I lit the match that burned down my life. But it was my husband's hand that struck it. Not literally, oh no. That would have been too honest for a snake like Ethan. He watched from the shadows as the flames devoured our brownstone in Brooklyn. Our golden retriever, Max, howling inside until his cries turned to silence. I was the one who got the cuffs slapped on. The one who pled guilty to arson for a payout we never even saw. All because the jury bought his teary-eyed bullshit about me snapping after years of emotional abuse. Guilty, they said. 10 years. Suspended to 5 with good behavior. But freedom? That was the real joke. I walked out of Rikers with nothing but a paper sack of regrets and a bus ticket to nowhere. It started 6 months before the fire. Back when our marriage was still a fragile web of lies we both pretended to believe. Ethan Caldwell. Wall Street golden boy. The kind of guy who could charm a room full of venture capitalists into betting their kids' college funds on a startup selling artisanal kale chips. We met at a rooftop party in Soho. Me fresh out of law school with dreams of dismantling corporate greed. Him already knee-deep in it. "You're the firecracker the city's been missing," he said, handing me a gin and tonic, his blue eyes locking onto mine like he'd just found buried treasure. We fucked in the stairwell that night. And, by morning, I was hooked. 2 years later, vows exchanged at City Hall. A quickie honeymoon in the Hamptons. Life was a glossy Instagram reel, brunches at Balthazar, weekends sailing off the Battery, and Ethan's promises that he'd make us untouchable. But untouchable? That was his game, not ours. I found out about the affair on a Tuesday, rain hammering the windows like God's own indictment. I'd come home early from the firm, pro bono work for evicted tenants, the kind of soul-sucking cases that paid in thank yous and migraines. His phone buzzed on the kitchen island, screen lighting up with a text. "Last night was electric. Can't wait to ditch the ball and chain." Ball and chain. Me. The sender? Lila XO. Lila Hargrove. His junior analyst, the one he'd hired straight out of Wharton. All legs and LinkedIn polish. I didn't scream. Didn't throw plates. I sat there, staring at the marble countertop we'd picked out together, feeling the first crack in my chest widen into a chasm. Confrontation came that weekend, over steak frites at Peter Luger. He denied it at first. Of course, classic Ethan. Gaslighting with a smile. "Baby, you're imagining things." Stress from work. But I had screenshots. Timelines synced to his calendar invites for client dinners at the Ace Hotel. He folded like a cheap suit. "It's nothing serious. Just blowing off steam. You're always buried in those files." Nat. I need excitement. Excitement. Like I was yesterday's news. Folded under the bed. We fought in whispers. The kind that slice deeper than shouts. "End it," I said. "Or I walk," he promised. Swore on his mother's grave, the one he dug fresh 2 years back from pancreatic cancer. Lies were his love language. The fire happened 3 weeks later. I'd been crashing on a friend's couch in Queens, giving him space to reflect. That night, sirens wailed me awake at 2 a.m. My phone exploded with texts. "Our house is gone. Max." "Oh God." "Nat." I raced back. The sky over Bed-Stuy glowing orange. Neighbors in robes gawking like it was the 4th of July gone wrong. Ethan stood on the sidewalk, soot-streaked, cradling a photo album like a shield. "It was you," he whispered when the cops weren't listening, his eyes cold as the Hudson in January. "You left that space heater on." Everyone knows you've been unstable. Unstable. That's what his lawyers called me in court. They painted me as the bitter wife unraveling, citing erratic behavior from my pro bono caseload, evictions mirroring my own impending one. The evidence? A blurry security cam from the bodega showing a woman in a hoodie buying lighter fluid. Me. Supposedly, though the face was shadowed. Ethan's testimony sealed it. She threatened to burn it all down if I left. The payout? $2 million from insurance. Straight to his pocket. He filed for divorce the day after my sentencing, citing irreconcilable differences. Took the savings, the 401k, even the goddamn wedding china. I got a cardboard box of clothes and a restraining order for harassment. Prison was a gray blur of fluorescent hum and lockdown drills. 5 years in, paroled early for model behavior. Model. Huh. I emerged into a July scorcher, the air thick with diesel and despair. No family, parents long gone in a car wreck on I-95, siblings scattered like buckshot. Friends? Ghosted after the trial splashed across the post. Wife torches dream home in jealous rage. Job prospects? Zilch. A felon with a torch record? Even Starbucks wouldn't touch me. I bounced from shelter to shelter. First the Bowery Mission, then a tent city under the Williamsburg Bridge. Nights were the worst, rain drumming on nylon. The stench of piss and regret. Dreams of Max's tail thumping against my leg. That's when the stranger found me. October. Leaves turning bloody on the pavement. I was huddled in a doorway off Delancey, nursing a black coffee from a bodega that took pity on strays. He was mid-40s. Salt and pepper beard. Burberry trench that screamed old money. Natalie Hayes, he said, voice like gravel under tires. I froze, hand tightening on the styrofoam cup. No one had called me that in years. Hayes was my maiden name, the one Ethan buried under Caldwell like a fresh grave. Who the hell are you? Victor Langford. Estate attorney. He slid a business card across the wet concrete. Gold embossed. Crisp as a new bill. Your great Aunt Evelyn passed last month. 98. Sharp as a tack till the end. Left you everything. Everything. I laughed, a bark that echoed off the bricks. Bullshit. I barely knew the woman. Saw her once at a funeral when I was 10, but he wasn't laughing. Pulled out a tablet, flipped to a will scanned in holographic blue. There it was, Natalie Hayes. Sole heir. 47 million. Stocks in blue chips. A penthouse on the Upper East Side. Trusts from oil wildcats back in 29. Evelyn. The black sheep who'd cut ties with the family after Dad's death. Hoarding her fortune like a dragon on fool's gold. Why me? I croaked. The coffee gone cold. Victor's eyes narrowed. The first hint of something sharper beneath the polish. She followed the trial. Said you were railroaded. That girl's got fire, she told me. Give her the match when the time's right. Fire. The word twisted in my gut like a knife. I signed the papers right there, on a milk crate, ink smudging in the drizzle. By dawn, I was in a cab uptown, the city blurring past like a bad dream dissolving. But inheritance isn't a fairy tale, it's a trapdoor. The penthouse was a mausoleum of dust sheets and ticking clocks. Evelyn's ghost in every gilt frame. I showered off the street, the water scalding my skin raw, and stared at the mirror, hollow cheeks. Felony ink on my rap sheet. Ethan. His face flickered in my mind, that smirk as the gavel fell. He'd taken everything: my name, my freedom, my dog.
Now?
I had 47 million reasons to take it back. Not just money. Everything. The first call was to a PI firm in Midtown, the kind that bills by the shadow. Dig up dirt on Ethan Caldwell. Affairs. Finance. The works. The lead guy, ex-NYPD with a Brooklyn drawl, chuckled. Lady, for that retainer? I'll bury him. Reports trickled in over weeks. Lila wasn't the only one. A string of them: interns, baristas, even the yoga instructor from our honeymoon. But the real bomb? The fire wasn't insurance fraud. It was cover. Ethan had been cooking books at his firm, siphoning client funds into offshore shells.
Milho.
The space heater? A plant. The lighter fluid buyer? A ringer he'd paid $5,000 to frame me. And Max.
Jesus.
Max was collateral, a loose end to sell the story. Rage bloomed slow, a poison ivy vine wrapping my ribs. I could have gone legal, sue for wrongful conviction, drain him dry in court. But where's the poetry in that?
No.
This needed teeth. Personal. I started small: anonymous tips to his board, whispers of audits that shaved his bonus to scraps. He texted once. From a blocked number. Nat?
That you?
Miss me. I deleted it, but the thrill hummed like a live wire. Victor warned me over brandy in the library. Evelyn's crystal decanter sweating on the oak. Revenge is a siren song. Emis.
Haze.
Sings sweet. Drowns deep. He knew things: Evelyn's secrets, the family skeletons she'd unearthed. Turns out, Dad's wreck was an accident. Brake lines cut, courtesy of a rival developer. Evelyn suspected Ethan's father, Old Man Caldwell, who'd muscled in on the deal. Blood runs thick, Victor said, swirling his glass. But money? That's the real vein. I didn't care about history then. Only the now. Ethan was marrying Lila in spring. A splashy affair at the plaza. Invite came certified mail. A cruel joke or olive branch? I didn't ask. RSVP, yes. With interest. The penthouse became my war room. Evelyn's ghosts my silent generals. I hired a stylist first, nothing flashy. Just enough to erase the shelter stink. Tailored black sheaths. Louboutins that clicked like countdowns. Hair chopped to a severe bob. The kind that says I survived, without begging for pity. Mornings, I'd pace the Persian rugs. Victor's files spread like an autopsy. Ethan's empire. Built on sand and slight. The PI uncovered more: shell companies in the Caymans, laundered through art flips and crypto scams. He'd framed me not just to escape, but to erase traces. My instability? A smokescreen for his embezzlement. The firm's auditors had been closing in. The fire bought him time to bolt with $8 million in hot cash. I toyed with going public. A tell-all to the Times. Ex-wife exposes fraudster fiancé. But that was too clean. Too American dream redemption arc.
No.
I wanted him to feel the slow bleed, the paranoia gnawing like termites in drywall. Step 1. The leak. I funneled docs to a blogger in the village, the kind who thrives on fintech scandals. Anonymous source, of course. Headlines hit by November. Caldwell Capital in turmoil. Insider alleges Ponzi echoes. Stock dipped 5% overnight. Ethan's LinkedIn went dark. His Hamptons shares tanked. I watched from a cafe in Tribeca, latte steaming, as his texts piled up. Nat, if this is you, stop. We can talk. Talk. Like we were exes swapping custody battles. I blocked him, but not before replying once. Burns? Doesn't it? Childish. Maybe. But the power? Intoxicating. A hit stronger than the blow we'd shared that first night. Victor became my confessor, dropping by with updates on the estate, taxes sorted, trusts ironclad. But he had his own angles. Over chess in the den, the pawns toppling like dominoes. He spilled Evelyn hadn't just followed my trial. She'd bankrolled the PI who'd tailed Ethan pre-fire, sniffing out his rot. She saw you as kin, he said, capturing my queen. The betrayed, the buried alive.
Kin.
The words stuck, a burr in my throat. I'd visited her once post-parole, frail in a hospice bed off Park Avenue, tubes snaking like accusations. Don't let them win. Girl, she'd rasped, clawing my wrist. Make em pay in kind. Her eyes, milky but fierce.
Mirored mine.
I nodded then, hollow. Now, I was all in. Christmas came wrapped in revenge ribbon. I crashed Ethan's office holiday party, uninvited, but who checks IDs in eggnog haze? The space was a loft in the Flatiron, twinkling with Edison bulbs and whispers of bonuses. He was there, cornered by suits, Lila on his arm in a red sheath that screamed desperation. She looked good, better than me. Maybe, but the rock on her finger? Gaudy. A cubic zirconia apology for his wandering eye. I sidled up, flute of Veuve in hand, close enough to smell his cologne. The same creed we'd bought together in Vegas. Ethan, I purred, voice low, like smoke from the embers. He turned, champagne sloshing, face draining to newsprint white. Nat. What the, how? Lila's grip tightened, her smile a rictus. Ex-wife, I said, extending a hand she ignored. Charmed, the room's chatter dipped, eyes darting like minnows. I leaned in, breath on his ear. Congrats on the merger. Or should I say, the money laundering? His jaw clenched, Adam's apple bobbing. You bitch. This you're doing? I laughed,
Light.
letting it carry. Just tying up loose ends. Like you did with Max. That hit home. His eyes flickered. Guilt? Fear?
Both.
Lila tugged him away, murmuring about crazy exes, but the damage was sown. By New Year's, his firm suspended him pending investigation. SEC whispers turned to shouts. Headlines screamed Caldwell's collapse. He sold the Porsche. The watch collection, Rolexes ticking down to pawnshop dust. Lila stuck, though gold digger through and through, posting cryptic instas about tough times. True love.
Me?
I played philanthropist. Donated $1 million to arson victim funds. Ironic ribbon on the noose. Spoke at shelters. From ashes to advocate, my story sanitized. Innocent woman. Systemic fail. The crowds ate it up, claps thundering in church basements, TEDx invites stacking like cordwood. But nights, alone with the skylines in different glow, doubt crept. Was this justice or just spite? Victor saw it, pouring scotch neat. Revenge isn't a straight line.
Natalie.
It's a spiral. You climb, but it pulls you deeper. He was right. The deeper I dug, the more I unearthed, not just Ethan's sins, but mine. That night in court, when the judge offered a plea, I'd taken it quick. Too quick. Didn't fight the arson charge because part of me believed it. The rage after the affair texts, the fantasies of watching his world char. I'd bought the lighter fluid. All right, not for the house, but for a voodoo doll ritual at a botanica in Harlem. Petty magic to hex his dick limp. The hoodie woman? Coincidence? Or fate's cruel wink? But Ethan knew. He'd twisted it. Amplified the smoke. Spring bloomed bloody. Wedding invites retracted. Lila bolted with a realtor in the Berkshires. Prenup be damned. Ethan holed up in a walk-up in Hell's Kitchen. Drowning in doers and denial. I visited once. Unannounced. Buzzing his intercom at dusk. He answered shirtless. Stubble shadowing hollow cheeks. Go away.
Nat.
You've won. Won. The word tasted like ash. I pushed inside. The apartment a sty of takeout boxes and unpaid bills. This isn't winning, I said, dropping a USB drive on his coffee table. Every file. Every proof of his fraud.
Confess.
Or I drop it all to the feds. He laughed. Bitter as battery acid. And what? You walk clean? You're as dirty as me. Sweetheart. That fire? You started the spark. We circled each other. Air thick with the old electricity. Hate now. Laced with the ghost of want. He grabbed my arm. Not hard, but enough to bruise the memory. We could have ruled this city. I yanked free. Knee jerking up, instinct, not plan, catching him low. He crumpled.
Gasping.
That's for Max, I whispered. Door slamming behind me. The assault charge?
Dropped.
His word against mine. But the spiral tightened. Victor confronted me over lunch at Le Bernardin. Oysters gleaming like lies. Evelyn's will has clauses. Misuse the fortune, revenge that veers criminal, and it reverts to charity. Misuse. My fork paused midair. This is justice.
He sighed,
folding his napkin like a white flag. Justice is blind. Revenge wears a mask. And yours is slipping. Slipping. Yeah. Dreams turned feverish, flames licking Ethan's heels. Max barking from the smoke. I upped the ante. Hired hackers to drain his remnants. Offshore echoes bouncing back to his door in IRS liens. He fought dirty, doxed my donors, spread rumors I was grifting off false innocence. The press turned. Post headlines sneering, airs vendetta. From victim to viper? Public split. Justice for Natalie trending alongside Ethan Innocent. Forums ablaze with she deserved the fall versus. He burned the dog. FFS. Crescendo built in June. Heat wave baking the asphalt to tar. A tip from the PI. Ethan's holed up in a motel off the turnpike. Plotting a Hail Mary, fleeing to Belize with a bagman's wire. I drove out. Rental Beamer purring like a predator. The ledger balanced in my glove box. Confrontation or capture. The line blurred. Adrenaline a drug in my veins. The motel was a faded Sunset Strip knockoff. Neon vacancy buzzing like a migraine. Room 12. Third floor. Jersey side of the river. Close enough to the city to smell its rot. Far enough to plot escape. I parked in the shadows. Engine ticking cool. The .38 Victor had slipped me weighing my purse like regret. For protection, he'd said. Eyes averted. Protection. Or punctuation. I hadn't decided. Ethan answered on the second knock. Bleary-eyed. A half-empty fifth on the nightstand. The room reeked of stale smoke and surrender. Unmade bed. Pizza crusts. A suitcase zipped halfway. Passports peeking like guilty secrets. Nat, he breathed. Not surprise, but resignation. Like he'd been waiting. Come to finish it? I stepped in,
Door clicking shut.
the AC humming a dirge. Finish? This isn't a movie.
Ethan.
No slow-mo showdown. But it felt like one. The dim lamp casting long shadows. His face a map of defeats, crow's feet etched deeper. That jawline softened to jowl. He poured 2 fingers of scotch. Slid one across the formica. Truce? For old times, old times. The phrase conjured beach bonfires in Montauk, his head on my lap under star-pricked skies. I took the glass. Sipped, burned smooth as betrayal. You killed Max. Blunt.
No preamble.
His hand trembled. Ice clinking. I didn't mean the fire got out of hand. I thought he'd run.
Run.
Like I had. From the marriage. From the man who'd promised forever then torched it. We talked then, raw as an open wound. He confessed the fraud, started small. Loans from clients to fund Lila's startup dreams. Snowballed into a Ponzi web snaring widows and rookies. I panicked when the auditors called. Needed a distraction.
Me.
The perfect patsy, the activist wife. Always railing against the man, easy to paint as eco-terrorist gone domestic. The ringer? A down-on-her-luck actress from Craigslist. 20 for the hoodie walk. And the lighter fluid in my car? Planted during one of our reconciling fucks. Post-affair makeup sex where I'd passed out drunk. Why? I demanded. Voice cracking.
Not how.
But why me? He met my eyes. Finally blue still. But storm-clouded. Because I loved you.
Nat.
Too much to drag you down with me.
Loved.
The word hung. Absurd. You framed me. Took everything. He nodded.
Slow.
And I'd do it again. You were the only pure thing. Couldn't let the dirt touch you.
Pure.
The lie splintered something in me. I laughed. Hysteria bubbling.
Pure?
I covered for you. You bastard. That insider tip you traded before we met? The one that tanked those pensions? I buried it at the firm. Shredded the memos. Lied to the board. For you. Silence. Thick as fog off the meadowlands. His face crumpled, not shock, but recognition. I knew. Suspected. That's why. The fire. To free you from me. Twist of the knife. We'd both been architects of the cage. My secret. Chiseled out over late nights reviewing case files. Ethan's greed a virus I'd ignored for love. The room spun. Scotch sour in my throat.
Outside.
Thunder grumbled. First drops pattering the window like hesitant applause. He reached for the suitcase. I'm out tomorrow. Wire set, clean slate and Belize.
Clean.
The word ignited me. I drew the .38. Steady as verdict. Barrel kissing his forehead. No slate.
No escape.
His breath hitched. Eyes wide, not fear.
But sorrow.
Do it.
Then.
End us both.
Us.
Still we. After everything. The trigger pulled slick. But I didn't fire.
Couldn't.
Not because mercy, fuck that, but physics. A shadow in the doorway. Victor. Trench dripping rain. His own piece leveled. Drop it.
Natalie. How?
The PI. The motel stakeout. He tailed me. Evelyn's watchdog to the last. Clauses, he said. Voice steel. Revenge unto death? Forfeits all. Ethan lunged, fool or hero, tackling me down, the gun skittering. Victor fired.
Wild.
Bullet chewing plaster. Chaos. Furniture toppling. Shouts echoing. I scrambled for the .38, Ethan pinning my wrist, his weight a ghost of intimacies past. Run, he grunted. Victor advancing. But I twisted, elbow cracking his nose, blood hot.
Copper tang.
The shot came then. Mine. Point blank into Victor's knee. He buckled, howling, gun clattering. We froze. Triad of wreckage, Ethan cradling his face, Victor writhing, me panting over the piece. Sirens wailed distant, closing fast.
Why?
I gasped at Victor. He spat blood, grinned feral. Evelyn's real heir?
Me.
The bastard son she hid. You were the test. Unleash the fortune. Prove your mettle.
Fail.
And it reverts. Bastard. Literal. The will's fine print. Buried in legalese. Contingencies for moral dissent. I'd been played. Inheritance a lure to my darkest self. Ethan hauled me up. Door banging open to the storm.
Go.
I'll handle this. Handle. Like the fire. The frame. But his eyes clear. For once. I owe you that. We bolted. Rain sheeting. His hand in mine slick as absolution. Victor's curses faded behind. Ambulance lights strobing a lot. We didn't make belize. Feds scooped us at the state line. Ethan's wire flagged. My prints on the .38 a felony encore.
But the twist?
He flipped. Full confession. Fraud. Arson. The ringer.
Me?
Accomplice turned witness. My buried tip surfacing in discovery. Mutual guilt. Plea to 5 years federal. Concurrent with echoes of the old sentence. Courtroom circus. Headlines howling, lovers inferno. Heir and hustler in twisted tango. Public cleaved. Team Natalie for the wronged woman rising. Ethan deserved it for the dog killer's due. Forums frothed. Was it revenge or romance reborn? Justice or just another scam? Lila testified. Tears streaked. He used us both. Victor? Charged with fraud. Evelyn's fortune frozen pending probate. Charities win. In the end. Now, conjugal visits in a low SEC upstate. Ethan's hand through plexiglass. Our secrets shared like contraband smokes. Love, hate, survival's gray glue. Parole in 3.
They say.
47 mil, tied in trusts, dribbling out post-release. Enough for a fresh start, or round 2. Was it worth it? Ask the mirror. Or Max's ghost. Tail thumping in the dark. Some nights, I hear him. Some nights, I don't care. The city's still burning. Somewhere. And we're all just embers. Waiting for the wind.